Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome to our second part in our series, Outspoken Men's Edition.
Mm-hmm.
How you doing today, Joe?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
Good. Yeah.
So I think I want to start off by apologizing to our viewers that it was brought to our attention that on our first part of this series, we really didn't put a disclaimer. We kind of just threw it together, and it really had some impact on some individuals. And for that, we apologize. We really were not thinking about
absolutely.
that. We were so focused on the message that we forgot about the importance or the impact that message was taken. So again, our apologies. It wasn't intended that way. But we've redid the whole intro, and it now includes a warning. So
yeah, and it's really important that the message gets through, and that there's a discussion that gets opened up, with folks that are out there that have anything they want to say. I mean, it's really it's why we started this series, and we feel really passionate about making sure that guys in this guys and the people that are around them that love them or care about them are heard and understand that there are people out there and there's resources available for you. And if we're just a tiny sliver of a little piece of resource for anybody,
then we're doing what we're
supposed to do. Absolutely. Yeah. So, all right. Well, ready to get going on part 2?
Yeah, let's do this.
All right, here we go.
So what can I do for you today? You say you don't want to hurt yourself, right? No? Have you ever attempted suicide or anything like that in the past? Okay. Is there anything I can do to help you?
I could use a hug.
I'll give you a hug. Seems like you got a lot going on, man. It's all right. It's all right, man. It seems like a lot to take on,
Good, we can get you some help.
Yeah, we can get you somebody to talk to and stuff. It's all right, man. It's all right.
And if you need to talk, if you can't talk to them,
you can call us. Call that number, dude. I'll come out and meet you. All right, brother.
each day of like it's appreciated.
Hey, if you ever need anything, you just call, right?
Means a lot.
Yeah, buddy.
Thank you.
I'm Jake, by the way. That's Fred.
All right, Jake, Fred, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
For real. I do feel a lot better.
Good.
What's going on, boss? What's going on?
I'm on the phone with the VA hotline.
Okay.
For suicide.
All right. Hey, I got you, man. All right. What branch you in?
Army.
Army? All right. Hey, my name's Kyle. All right. We'll help you out. All right, bud? I'm here with you. I'm here with you. All right. I'm gonna start an ambulance over here to us. Okay? All right, bud? Starting an ambulance to the 6-8 off ramp eastbound. I'm with a vet who's on the suicide hotline.
Here's my ID.
Sorry, man. Hey. Do you have anything on you?
No.
Okay. Is it all right if I check you? Cool. Any deployments, bud?
One.
Well, hey, dude. It's a tough time for everyone in your position. All right. Relax, though. Hey, I'm here with you. Okay? I'm here. Come on, yeah.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Outspoken Men's Edition.
So
here we go.
We kind of left off in our first part. We talked a lot about kind of everything together, like what we were going to discuss. When I outlined a little bit about
outline overview,
yeah, about our men's mental health and how important it is, right? So I want to kind of start dig more into the stigma. Like, why do we do that? Where does it start, and how does this all develop into what becomes a man, right? And how we hold dear our roles are very significant, and how that plays a huge part in how into what we're going to be talking about, right? As to why men hold their feelings in, right? I was watching this. It was a little survey. Remember those surveys that you see where they go ask them about, the continents or things like that.
Yeah.
And so they went out there and
simple questions, difficult answers.
yeah. So they get out there, it's like, and they asked all these women, just different women, different circumstances, different locations, everything. It's like, do we need men?
Oh yeah, and they all
said no, we don't need a man. We don't need this, we don't need that, right? And then they asked the same question, but of a woman to men. Do we need women? And every man is like, absolutely. Oh yeah, we need our women. Oh, I love our women.
Yeah.
But so it kind of plays into what we're talking about.
Right.
Men take that role of being protective, being the person in charge, holding that front, where the woman is kind of like, they don't see exactly what men do, right? That they feel like, oh, we don't need man.
Yeah.
But if you take man out of the equation, that leaves you what? With nothing. So where does this start? Where does this stigma start? It starts at a very early age. In fact, it starts with as a child, right? When we're born, we hold our children differently. Like my daughter and my boys, I raised very different, right? My daughter, I coddled her. I like, oh, you okay? Blah blah blah, and she cried, I'd hug her and I'd kiss her, make sure she was okay, and kissed her boo boos and whatnot. My boys, I'd be like, get up, suck it up, you're fine, don't cry, right? And we just keep building on that. And as they get older, they're the same thing. Hey, take care of your sister. Don't let no one mess with her. Take care, watch over your sister. Watch over we're constantly reminded, hey, dad's going to work. You're the big man in the house. Make sure nothing happens to mom, right? We keep giving them these responsibilities. We keep building on it. And then as they get into the adolescence, right, when they're starting to find themselves and look for girlfriends, they take that role. They see that role of dad, right? They see that role of big brother or whatever the case is, and they take it to heart. They're like, that's my role. That's my job. I got to protect this. And, you see the little kids in the playground fighting because of, they insulted his girlfriend or whatever the case is. And then they get into the adult states and it just progressively gets worse and worse. Where we're just the one that, hey, we'll take everything to defend our own. Right. And it bleeds into the workplace, bleeds into our home, bleeds into just life in general. And we just continue that process, right? Yeah. And it's nonstop, and it becomes a cycle. We do that to our children, our children's children, and so forth. It just continues and continues and continues. And it never really ceases to exist. But if we go back, like in biblical times, it's the same thing, right? God created man, Adam first, right? And he was bound to work the fields, right? That was her job. Keep this garden beautiful, immaculate. Keep it nice. This is yours, And then he saw that he was alone and needed a companion, right? Took a rib, made female, right? And again, we're the protective role. Right? What happens? She goes, takes that apple. She shouldn't have been taking an apple, right? God was clear. Hey, don't be eating this apple. What does she do? She eats the apple, right? And who does she convince to eat after she takes a bite? Adam,
yeah.
Right? And Adam,
okay, honey.
Adam, the protective role is eats the apples, like, hey, and then of course the rest is history, right? Or in the Bible, as we say. But those are, again, the roles that happen. Caveman time. Like if we were to look at back in the days when people, they had cavemen and things like that. What was the stereotype? Caveman, club, right? Go
bonker on the head.
Yeah. And he gets food and brings it in, right? It's in the wild, right? You have the dominance of a lion, right? And then all the lionesses, they go out, they're the ones that do all the hunting.
Yeah.
But they come back and there's the head of that pack, right?
Well, I mean, if you think about like in the animal world, like the lions, for example, the hyenas, right, are, I mean, mortal enemies with the lions. And a pack of hyenas will attack a group
Right.
of lionesses, but a pack of hyenas will run from one lion.
Mhm.
And when you start to think about that, lions are like the hyena killers. And if you, I mean, if you're sensitive to, you know, animals getting torn up and stuff in the wild, I mean, that's not something to watch. But if you go onto YouTube and you can search it, there is so much, and it's really interesting how that hierarchy works.
Yeah.
And you're right. Speaking to that, you know, that we are animals.
Yeah.
You know, we have speech and we have opposable thumbs and things like that helps us do what we do. But deep down inside, we have that basic instinct, you know, and for me personally, going back on kind of what your original question was, like, how has this changed in society? Well, I think, you know, people in higher echelons of society wanted things to change, right? So one is the feminist and the liberal movement has really created this nonsense, because those young girls, right? Can they do anything they want in life? Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you know, there's some limiting factors to everybody about everything, right? But yeah, those girls can go be scientists, or they can go be bricklayers. They can do whatever they want. I can guarantee you none of them probably want to be a bricklayer, so they don't need men, but they kind of need bricks laid, so they're going to rely on men to do that kind of thing for them. If you go back far enough, women did what? They were at home. Just like the caveman thing, just like the Jesus days and all that. Women cooked, they cleaned, they kept the home. The man was to make sure the home was secure for the female, right? To go out and hunt or go out and work and do stuff.
Provide the household needs.
And provide the household needs, right?
Absolutely.
At one point, somebody said, hey, we can double production if we can get all these lazy women at home to start working, right? And I'm not saying that. This is what, and so all of the people that are out there that follow this feminist, liberalist movement, at one time, women didn't have to go to work every day.
Yeah.
And you guys are the ones that wanted that. So now women have to go and work and toil away just like men do, you know, and that's what's created that. And because going back to your story of like your daughter and your boys, does your daughter right now say, I don't want my brothers around at all? It's quite the opposite, right? She's very,
she loves her
brothers, right? Because that was taught in the home early on and everything. And these young girls that you were talking about that are saying that they don't need men in their life and everything, they have been raised in, again, this very feminist, liberal mindset that has created this whole thing of anti-men. Like, you know, men are disgusting, toxic masculinity, all these kind of things.
No such thing.
There is no such thing.
But you're, and here's the roles. But again, this is what I want our viewers to know, that this is nothing. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing absolutely wrong with you in keeping these feelings inside of you. I mean, I've done it. Jay's done it. We all do it because we're men. But just think back to your youth and as a child. What were the little girls doing? They were playing house. They're playing with dolls. They were in a very secure area. They're inside their bedrooms. They were doing everything inside the house. What were the boys doing? Riding their bikes, eating mud, going through this,
outside shooting each other with wrist rockets.
They were, but they were taking these risks and doing things like that. What happens when they get older? They're the ones that are up on the skyscrapers. They're the ones that are working in the sewers. They're the ones that are doing all the
coal miners,
all the coal miners, doing all the heavy industrial, and guys, all the blue collar workers, or all those kids are running around in bikes and you know, putting little go-karts together and making a mess. And the girls were in there playing house, and there's nothing wrong with that. My daughter did that, right?
Yeah.
You know, and that's just how we are brought up. I mean, that's just the roles that have been going on for thousands of years.
And what's funny is society has trucked along and done very well with, and I've never liked the word gender roles, because again, you talked about guys being up on skyscrapers. There's women that do that. Very few, very few, but there are women that do that.
But if we really start looking into that, those few women, they're probably little tomboys. Their dads probably didn't have any boys, and their dads raised them like boys.
Yep.
Right. So, and there's nothing absolutely wrong with that. I've had a few girlfriends that were tomboys. Right. they were clearly stronger than me, but you know what? No one's questioning that. But the whole thing is, and I think what we need to understand as men is that this is not something that you were able to control as a child. This was just how our parents brought us up. That's how we brought our kids up, and that's how our kids are going to bring their kids up.
Right.
You know, the whole point of that is that we have to get out of that cycle, right? Not so much the roles. So there's a big difference between getting out of the roles and getting out of the cycles, right? So we have our role. That is our role. I mean, I don't want to see a woman working an oil rig. I don't want to see a woman up on a skyscraper. I don't want to see men hold women dear.
That's right.
Why? Because they remind us of our mother, right? And we're protected because of again, we go back to our youth. Hey, buddy, I'm going to work. Keep an eye on your mom, right? And we took that role seriously as boys. We wanted that responsibility, right? Because we see dad as this figure. He's like our hero. He's out there working. He's bringing in the money. He buys us what we want. That's our hero. We want to emulate that, right? And how do we do it? By trying to pick up their role. Little kids, we're little kids and we're like, what are you talking to my mom for, right? We play that symbolic role of the male role model in the absence of our fathers, right? But that's how we grow up, right? And we take that into our own lives, right? Where we're protective of our family, we're protective of our girlfriends, of our wives, of our children, of our house in general. We're very protective, right? Because that was a role that was taught to us, right? And not even just like, I'm teaching you this, check mark number 1, we're going to do this. No, it's because we saw our father do it, right? Our father was the head of the household. Now, remember, it's called head of the household, right? For a reason. He took that role. And so when I say we have to change that, is that we have to change not the roles that we have, because those roles are important. They play an important role in society. Well, if you would take males out of all these things that we do, we'd collapse. Society would collapse. Absolutely. I don't care. They could be feminists. I'll say, no, we could do the job. No, you can't. No, there's no way. Well, I want to see you change those pipes and those oil rigs, right? These guys come out of those rigs full of oil, right? Yeah. I want to see you, get that wrench or that ammo that's going to go into that tank and load it up. And, I want to see that. You know what men don't want to see? Women dying on the battlefield. That's what they don't want to see, right? Because again, they see a woman, they think of their moms, they think of their sisters, they think of, and it's going to sound bad. They think of a weaker sex. Not that you are, but as we grow up, hey, take care of your sister. Hey, take care of your mom. Hey, your cousins are over. Hey, watch your cousins. You play that role and it just continues to go. The problem is that we do not know how to separate the roles that we have to our emotions that we derive from those roles. Right. We take everything on, and we just never release it. We don't have a release. And that's what we want to get into in Men's Edition, is talking about those releases, building that up, because what happens? We build it up, right? Because imagine me as a woman. A horrible picture. But
sexy.
Me coming home, right, to you and hey, I just want to tell you about my day. This and this. And you're like, oh man, that's crazy, blah, blah. Do you think that she's going to sit there and want to hear about your day?
No.
And you don't want to. You do it one time. You'll do it one time. And the moment you start saying like, but did you not hear what I said? And then you're never going to do it again because you're like, well, she didn't hear me.
Right.
Why should I even express myself? Right. And that's it. It takes us one time. We're so delicate that way that we're like, no one cares.
Yeah.
And we're done. And what do? We'll go out to the garage, have a beer, and tinkle with something. Yeah. Right. Move the lawnmower from that side to that side. That's what we do. Right.
Take the carburetor out and put it right back in the car.
Yeah. We do things like that because we get stuck in our own head. We're just like, maybe I am being a little delicate. Maybe I should really,
delicate little flower.
Yeah. But that goes back to that stigma. Right? No one cares.
Right.
It makes me less of a man, but the reality of things, men unliving themselves is a problem in America.
It is.
And it's not getting any better. And in
No.
fact, you see more of it more and more. I think we talked about this last time that COVID was one of the biggest factors that
absolutely.
that created a lot of those unlivings, right? And in veterans coming back, PTSD, first responders, and it's just not that. Like, you don't have to be a veteran, you don't have to be a first responder. You have your own crises happening in your house, right?
Well, I'll tell you right now that during COVID, there was a lot of remote work, right, that was created.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And in my opinion, that's a whole different thing. I think remote work can be very beneficial to companies and cities and everything else. I digress. So this was created, and one of the things that the psychologists and doctors and stuff, they've done these studies, have found is that so when women had to stay home and work from home, it was actually really good. They liked it. They enjoyed it. When men had to stay home, guess what? They started feeling depressed about things.
Yeah.
And why is that?
We're builders. We're thinkers.
We're supposed to be out and about. We're not supposed to be sitting at home doing a bunch of nothing. Now, I'm not saying that people at home working from home aren't doing a bunch of nothing, but it's just a psychological thing, just like Joe was talking about, that we're wired differently, right? And we have this different expectation of ourselves and of society for ourselves. So Joe was mentioning something here. So in the Western world, men die by self-deletion 3 to 4 times more than females, even though females are known to have self-deletion thoughts more than men. Men are much more likely to act on their thoughts. So kind of crazy to think about, right? So male gender roles tend to emphasize greater levels of strength, independence, risk-taking behavior, economic status, and individualism. So just kind of like what Joe was talking about, working on in dangerous jobs and dangerous environments. It's more of a thing. Guys almost challenge themselves and want to be out there. Reinforcement of this gender role often prevents males from seeking help for self-deletion feelings and depression. Developing nations have a much lower self-deletion rate with a much more conservative value system and mindset. Okay. The most progressive white liberal countries continue to struggle the most with mental health and overall self-deletion rates. Okay. In developed countries where the political spectrum is split, American adults who identify as politically liberal have long reported lower levels of happiness and psychological well-being than conservatives. A trend that mental health experts suspect is at least partially explained by liberals' tendency to spend more time worrying about stress-inducing topics like racial injustice, income equality, gun violence, and climate change. So the reason I use all that is because, kind of going back to when we first started this, I was talking about feminism and liberalism. This whole thing has become a big push in our country, right? Feminism is a really big thing that they're really, women power and all this kind of stuff. Well, it's not empowering women. It's making men feel less worth in the society. We're not saying a woman can't go and be a CEO or a bricklayer or whatever the, job that they want. What we're saying is you can't take away that men have specific roles in society and they are needed. And, kind of going full circle back to what Joe was talking about with the guy interviewing all the girls on the street saying we just don't need men anymore. What if a bunch of women, we're standing there watching a bunch of men saying, yeah, we don't need women. We can do everything besides for having babies. We don't need them around anymore, and how would that make them feel? Well, they'd probably be pretty depressed based on statistics and things of, so it's really silly. We've created this monster system that is failing society as a whole, but really failing, females and the fact that it's blinding them to the fact that women and men are beautiful in their own ways in societal needs, things that we need in society. And it's really failing men because it's really putting men in a pocket of saying, well, you're really not needed. So you're going to have to find your own way. And guys already have a struggle. When you're a young man, you kind of have nothing, right? I mean, you have no money, and we've already, proven time and time again that money and status is everything to the male figure in life. To a female, that's not the case. Most guys don't care one way or another how much money a female has. That's more of her appearance, attractiveness, or openness to having a conversation.
So
with the guy.
there was a conversation that was done where women say like, "Hey, would you go date this dude from a fast food joint?"
Oh yeah,
and they'll be like, "Oh, no way." And that's the difference between men and women, because men would like, yeah, if she's a good
nice,
person, she's nice, and like we don't look at that, you know. And here's another example. When you're young, right, as a little girl, you have grandma, you have mom, they're like, oh honey, this is what we do, and blah blah blah. They have a group of girls that kind of work together and develop, right? And as men, it's just you and your dad, right? That's it. And so as they get older, what happens? Women have a group of girlfriends that they talk to, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're not going to believe what happened. And they have that out where they're openly talk about these issues of what's happening at home. Men are very reserved. You don't see men doing that. Men don't go up like, hey, bro, what's going on? Yeah, man, you know what happened today? No, because that stigma of like, oh, that shows weakness. Yeah. And we don't do that. But we have to start showing that with our own children. We have to start talking to our kids and say, hey, buddy, it's okay to talk to me.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. But we continue this cycle. So it just continues and continues and continues. A man, let me tell you something. And I've seen this happen. A woman gets a good job, gets good money right away. She's all, I don't need a man. I provide for myself, right? I'm good. I don't need a man. He could look at this. If a man wants to be with me, he needs to be making as much as me or more, right?
Right.
When a man comes to a good job and gets paid, he's like, man, this is great. This is more for my family. We could do this. We could get a house. We could, like, the brain waves are so different. Mm-hmm. And that's just wired into us. That's just hardwired into us, and I'm not saying women are bad for doing it, but men can't do that. Now, are there some men that are a little bit more, yeah,
but you know what? I guarantee you 100%, they buy into this feminist nonsense system.
They do. But that's the thing, Jay, that we keep playing these roles. We keep falling into these roles like there, you can't derail from that. Like, no, you have to follow that rule, and there's nothing out there that says you have to keep following this rule, right? There's nothing wrong. Women out there, if your man starts talking to you, just starts talking to you, don't interrupt him. Don't, because the moment you interrupt him, he's going like that. I'm done. I'm not going to talk anymore.
That's right.
They're not going to talk about it. And you've lost that golden opportunity where you're going to have your husband or your boyfriend open up and talk to you about something. Yeah. But because the moment you interrupt us, we in our head think, she don't care.
Yeah.
It's not that important. You know what? Don't worry about it. It's not that important. We'll deal with it later. But you have to consider when you have a problem, like now, my ex-wife, she's been my ex-wife for a while now. Right. But I love her to death. We get along. We're great. She has issues at the house. Who's she calling? Me.
Daddy Joe.
Yeah. Right. It's like, hey, this is going on. Can when you come down, can you help me? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Right. She always asks. Now, is she capable? Yeah. She's, she raised my kids without me, she raised them. She did a great job. So yeah, she could do it. But if she has someone that could help her, why not take advantage of that?
Yeah.
Right. And she does. And I'm okay with that. Because again, I take that role like, that's a mother of my children. I can't just find someone else to do it. You know what I mean? Or pay for it. Or, I'm like, I'll help you. You know what I mean? Because again, that role, we always want to take that lead, right? Scary house. Who goes first? The guy. Right? And I am a chicken shit, bro.
Haunted houses.
I'm telling you, man. I'm gonna lose my life in those things, man. I'm telling you, because I'm such a chicken shit.
Your soul just leaves your body.
My body. But we always want to play that role, right? They play that run role, and your daughters. So you always want to. That's another thing. You never want to show weakness to your daughter.
Oh no.
And so you always take. and that is again our cycle of or our role that we play. We play the role of being a man, but not at the cost of our mental health.
Right.
And that's what we really need to start thinking about. Letting go of these stigmas and saying like, I'm not a man if I have to talk about it. No, you need to talk about your problems. You need to. Just because we were taught that as a young age that, hey, no one cares about your problems, or hey, suck it up, man, be a man and let's.
I personally think as guys, we need to have like what we're doing right now. There needs to be more men's networking, because just like Joe said a little bit earlier, girls have their girl groups, and I've been behind a curtain, basically hearing what.
Shame on you. Call me next time.
Basically a group of girls, what they were talking about, and the stuff they say about their husbands / boyfriends to other girls. Like you and I, we've been friends since we were little kids. We would never talk that kind of mess about our girlfriend, wife.
Women do.
And man,
but that's what I tell you.
Yeah. So guys need, now I'm not talking about talking mess about it, but guys need to be there more for each other, for opening up about things, right? Because in my opinion, I don't think it's a bad thing that guys are the way they are, right? And that we do kind of hold back stuff from females, because they do need to feel that we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like we've got the ding dong in the Oval Office right now. And how secure do you feel of him running the country?
A little to none.
A little to none, right? And why is that? Because he's feeble, dude.
Incoherent.
He's incoherent. He can't answer stuff right. So does any woman want a husband or boyfriend that's like that? And
Jill
I'm not
does.
selling. Jill does, yeah. Somebody that, and I'm not even talking about his age. I'm just talking about just everything around that whole goofy belief system that, him and that whole party have. You want a strong figure, somebody that's there that can take charge, that can, if you're sleeping in the middle of the night and, there's a bump downstairs or something, as the woman, do you just, okay, I'm not even going to wake him up, I'm just going to go downstairs? No, 99% of the time you're waking him up saying, hey, I heard something downstairs. Can you go and check on it? Or we can go check together or whatever. I don't think those roles need to change. What I think needs to change is that guys need to be more open to each other and not be like, hey man, when you're telling me this, you sound like sound like a little girl, instead of like going, dude, I have the same thoughts. I have the same worries and things in my life.
That's that stigma.
And and the problem is there's two guys. We both have the same thoughts or feelings or whatever that's bugging us. Who goes first? Who says that first and says, hey, Joe, man, can I talk to you about this? Because this is, and he's probably going to have this, oh my gosh, it's been bugging me too. But we just don't talk about it. And that's really what we want to encourage in, this series that we're doing. And hopefully it helps you guys to kind of get out there and just one friend. I mean, seriously, one friend can make all the difference.
It does. But I think the biggest thing that we want is we want, and doing this series, we want to just keep breaking down these barriers. We want to keep breaking down what got us there, right? And how we could get out of there, because we're going to do this journey together, because I don't even know how to get this out of there, but we're going to do it. And, like there's so many stuff in people's lives, tragedies that happened in my own life that isolated even more for me, that kept me even more personal. I'm sure Jay's had the same experiences, and
I think we all have had something,
and we have to check on each other. Yeah. We have to stop turning to alcohol. We need to stop turning to drugs. We need to stop thinking about unliving ourselves. We need to stop all that, because, we, at the end of the day, we have little children that depend on us. We have women who, even though they won't admit it, they depend on us. There's so much going on.
Well, and society at large, counting on a strong male population. I mean, that's just the way it is.
And we've taken things for so long. We just get piled on and piled on and piled on, that we never have an outlet. And when we do have an outlet, it's mostly a very very bad outlet,
Right,
you
right.
know, and because
They're bad vices
Yeah.
for your outlet.
yeah, because we don't know how to manage them, because we don't want to go to a therapist. We don't want to go
Right.
to any of those, because again, that stigma, like
That's
you're
it.
a weak
Yep.
man. But you know what? I think it
100%.
it shows that you're a strong man, because you're able to say, you know what? I have an issue with dealing with these things that I talk to no one about. You know, I'm gonna go to my friend's house, and instead of going in the garage and drinking a beer, we're gonna sit there and I'm gonna ask him, "What's your opinion on this?
Right.
What would you do? Am I doing the wrong thing?" I think we need to form better bonds. Women do it. Women have girlfriend nights and girl nights and all that stuff. We have the same thing, but and so we're out there tinkering with other stuff, you know, doing dumb things. Like I didn't want Monica. I didn't want my girl to my wife at the time to think I was just this, you know, rich kids that didn't know how to do anything. I lost a nail changing calipers and brake pads on her car because I said, I know how to do it. No clue. I went on, I bought, you know, back then they had those books,
Chilton books,
the Chilton books, and to learn how to do it.
This is long before YouTube, kids.
Yeah. And so every time she'd come out and see how my progress was going, I'd throw the book under the car. Right. I'm like, it's going good. It's going good. You know, but I would page by page, I'm learning how to change calipers. I'm learning how to change brake pads.
You're reading stuff. You're like, pull cotter pin. What the heck is a cotter pin?
I got to push the piston back in. I'm like, I got nothing for that. I had to get some vices. And I'm like, I'm making stuff up as we go.
So great.
And I'm like, why is this so hard? I'm like, oh my God, I didn't take the cap off the brake oil. So the air wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah, right.
So I'm like, oh my God, so like I didn't want to look like that. I wanted to look like, oh man, look at my man knows how to change brakes. I didn't have to pay for them. And back in my mind, I'm like, I would have paid for these damn brakes. I lost a nail. I'm stressing. I got grease everywhere. This is horrible. You know what I mean? And again, that stigma. I'm not gonna go to my brother. He had to change this thing. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm a man. I got you.
Right, because
her brother is a mechanic. Can you imagine how weak I look?
The wife would be disappointed, right? But the brothers would make fun of you.
Oh yeah. But hey, so again, it's very important. Like I said, we were talking about the stigma. We're going to talk more about it in part 3. But what we want you to do is kind of sit there and think back what we just talked about. Did you have those experiences with your dad or with a male figure in your life that was, hey, suck it up or be a man? Did you do that to your kids? You know, have we set them up to be the same person that we are, that you know is going to create issues in the future when they get older? And think about that and think of what we could do to change that. How can we make it better? How can we talk to our children? What can we tell our kids now, even if they're adults, to do different with their children? You know, and just thinking, most of us, we're going to be 100% on the same thing because we all went through the same thing.
That's right.
Our dads did the same thing. We did our same thing with our children. So just think about that and think how we could do that better. And then in part 3, we're going to talk more about it and we're going to see what we could do. What do you think?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm looking forward to the next chapter in this series. So
absolutely.
Well, everyone, thanks so much for hanging out with us today. I'm Jay and that's Joe. And this has been Outspoken Men's Edition. And, if you found this helpful, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends. Definitely subscribe to us. We do this every mid-month Wednesdays of every month. And then you can also join us every Tuesday for our normal episodes that we have. So
those are funny.
Some are funny.
Sometimes we're just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Jay's more ridiculous.
Okay. Well, everybody, thanks so much for joining us. And we will see you back here either next week for Outspoken or next month, this same time.
Yeah.
For Outspoken Men's Edition.
Take care of yourselves.
Take care of yourselves.
All right. We'll see you next time.
See you.